What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Start Build Grow Show. We have a familiar face today. We're going to check in with an industry pioneer in the tech space. He's done some amazing things in the industry, And today we're going to be discussing how to leverage how certain technology pieces are actually helping contractors not only get paid faster, but also get paid more, get paid what they deserve. So you're going to want to stay tuned. All right, welcome in. Once again, it's been a little while, my man. We go back many years at this point, man. Yeah. Garrett Kurtt with OneClick Code. Great to have you. Welcome back to the show, my man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a while. It's been a few years since I was on the show, but it's also been a long time since you and I have known each other. So it's good to see you and good to be back.
Heck yeah, man. It's for the audience. I mean, who's going to be like, how do they know each other? So me and this guy used to knock doors and sell roofs like, 16 years ago, something like that. It's been a minute. Yeah, we were on a sales team together, and Garrett was a little bit of a mentor, and that's when I was trying to learn the ropes on roofing sales and insurance. So you always were like really good at the insurance side of things. And then that ended up, becoming like a big passion for you. And then lo and behold, you went away from that and got into all these other things. And you've really, honestly, you've been a pioneer in like literally changing how this industry does things. So we're going to lean into that a little bit. So let's start right there, man. You're in roofing. How'd you get into roofing real quick? And then let's walk me through, some of the tech and some of the other businesses that you got into.
2007, I was part of a flood that occurred in Iowa, and I got into the flood restoration space. So that's my first kind of go around. I didn't know much about insurance. I was cleaning out basements. I was getting sick. I mean, I was in flooded basements. They're dirty. And that was in the summer of 2007. And then a hurricane hit down in Houston. And I decided, like, you know what? I'm going to go down there. I'm going to go down to Houston. I'm going to clean basements out. I made good money up here in Iowa. I'm going to go down to Texas. And then I found out there's no basements in Texas. So I had to figure out somewhere else to go. And I went on top of the roof. And that's where I got into the roofing industry, was Hurricane Ike 20 years ago. And that's how I got into it. And from there, it was really about curiosity. You give me credit for wanting to understand the insurance process, but it really was about pain points. Anything that gave me pain, anything that was like repeating the same process, and it felt like I was going insane. It's like, how can we make it better? And I tried to figure out every single way to be able to both understand the pain points that all parties have, but ultimately, trying to get paid faster, get paid more at the time. That's what I was thinking about, is like, how can I make a living doing this? And so I kept on digging into it, I guess you could say. And then from there, a lot of things branched out.
I love that. And you've always been like super inquisitive and always like look at things from a different perspective, right? Like, this is the way people are doing things, but how can I do it differently? How can I like innovate and improve on that? So I picked that up early on working with you. You're like really innovative in, just selling roofs and trying to like, streamline the supplementing process. So let's jump in right there and then walk me through kind of your career journey there a little bit.
So the career journey, it was, from the basement to the roof and then into the roofing side. What I found myself doing was, I was getting these roofs down in Texas. They're steep. I mean, in Colorado, that's where we're at right now. They're not as steep, but down in Texas, there's like 12 12s. And I was walking on 10 12s. What ended up happening was, it's very hot. And, I give credit to the crews to where credit's due. Those guys are out there all day long. However, it's not, I like melt coming from Minnesota, like anything that's like above 80, I was like melting when I was down in Texas. So I always try to figure out, like, how can I make sure that I can go to the job once, I'm not returning a bunch of materials? How can I contact the insurance company once and get it settled with the insurance company, and then have the release the check as soon as I get the final invoice to them? But ultimately, how to, it's about maximizing both my time and effort to be able to make the most amount of money. That's what I was thinking about as I was building out the processes. And it kept on bothering me really about how what I thought was the insurance companies playing games. I mean, I can go back and forth and I'd say, like, I don't think a lot of these insurance companies are doing that. Like they may or may come across that way, but being where I'm at today, I'm watching a lot of things unfold where it is a big, huge industry, across the United States. People will say negative things about the insurance companies, but I've had a lot of great success over the years working with the insurance companies, partnering with them, not like directly like I'm a partner of said X insurance company, but working with them to get them what they need to then pay me what I'm asking for. It's not contentious when I'm working with them. I've found that playing nice, but playing with a firm hand and knowing your craft, backing that up with facts, not just kind of like sending them screenshots or sending them an estimate that's like on a one line item estimate. I found that the more things I got to them, the more really are able to say yes to me, because that's what they're looking for. For them to say yes is like a sale for a homeowner to say yes. Just like, so like ultimately at the end of the day, I was trying to not be a people pleaser, but I was giving them what they needed, and it made my life a lot easier, and it made their life easier too.
Yeah. And I think kind of early on, it just felt like there was this underlying like battle. It's us versus them. It's the roofers versus the insurance. And, and then unfortunately in our industry, a lot of, especially early on in those days when it was really becoming a thing, the whole storm chasing thing. And, it was a battle, and it was like a lot of roofers trying to do a lot of unscrupulous things and like, try to manipulate the insurance carriers and try to get more money out of them. Like, we're going to get more money out of them for this, that, and the other. And the reality of it is, if there's damage and it was caused by an event that was correlated, right? Accidental direct physical loss, and you actually had damage from this specific event that's covered within the perils of your insurance policy, leave it there. Just focus on getting what you can. Like, it's not about manipulation. It's not about like porta potties for residential, like all the dumb things that people were trying to do. It didn't make sense. So again, it's a human to human interaction. Like, they have a job to do. We have a job to do. And if we can come to the table and play nice in the sandbox, good things can actually happen. And here's the thing. Here's what I learned. And a lot of people struggle with this, is like, you get into this business and you may see some results. You may see somebody that's in the industry and have this perception of, oh, you're making all this money and all this, you're manipulating, you're getting all this money and all the profit out of the insurance company. At the end of the day, that's not really what it's all about. It's about doing a fair, equitable job. But the thing is, it takes a long time. And like, you can make some money, you can do well, but it takes forever if you don't know what you're doing to actually complete the entire cycle. And that's something that you and I have talked about many, many years ago. Like, how do we make this shorter? And like, in my consulting, my coaching program, we are constantly, one of the first things we're going to do is evaluate someone's timeline. Look at their cash conversion cycle, look at their DSO, look at like from the time you get a lead to the time you actually recognize your profit, what are the different pain points and what are the different things that happen along that entire cycle? And then how do we find ways to shorten that? Because at the end of the day, the time value of money is vitally important in running a business. And in our world, in our business, it is very hard to operate when you're waiting 6, 9, 8, 12 months to actually recognize your profit in the job, right? And this is something you realized early on, and you've been kind of dedicated your whole career to try to shorten that timeline and fix that problem.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention this in the beginning, that my background is logistics. That's what I went to school for. So it's not A to B, like how to get to A to B. It's how to get to A to Z, right? And everything between, all the steps, because you probably know, you've sat down and like dissected every single step to get to a closed claim or a closed job. And it's like, dude, I forget more than I remember, like all these steps that go into this. And then if this happens and then that happens. But ultimately, the timeline and the not being contentious is super important. I found that most insurance companies, what I've found is that they want to do the right thing. They ultimately want to do the right thing. Now, everyone has bad actors, and bad actors could be described in different ways. However, I would say that in general, most insurance companies are trying to do the right thing always. They have to. I mean, they're state regulated for the most part. I mean, if they don't, then they get in a lot of trouble. So my experience is that they generally want to do the right thing. However, there are personalities, and that's where the personalities kind of collide. I think I can go back in time when I was like maybe a little more arrogant, or maybe had a little more of an ego when I was down in Houston. I'm like, you got to pay for this roof. And the adjuster's like, I'm not paying for this roof. There's no damage. I'm like, and I look back at that, I'm like, yeah, I was really pushing the envelope on something that I'm like, why was I doing that? What really promoted me to do it? And I was like, back then, it was 15 years ago. That's that contentious thing that was back then.
Yeah.
I feel like it's changed a lot recently, but it's going to continue changing as well as the landscape evolves with technology, with private equity buying up the insurance companies, with mergers going on with platforms, Verisk taking a different approach to how they're going to be playing in the sandbox with the contractors, new insurance companies popping up. There's so much stuff going on out there that people probably are not aware of.
Well, I mean, let me lean in there. Like, what are some things that you've seen in the last few years that you think are probably pretty significant? Maybe 1 to 3 things that you think are really significant changes in how this entire world cohabitates.
What I have found recently is there has been a much more of an interest in figuring out how there's repairs that are going to be possible on roofs. And some of you are already starting to see this in some across the United States. Insurance companies in general are curious, can we repair these roofs? And if so, they were going to try to repair them. Right or wrong, there's reasons why they're trying to do that. And I'm not privy to those, but I do know that they are, in general, they're looking to say, like, well, does it make sense to repair versus replace? And I can say that, it never makes sense to repair, and it always makes sense to replace. And then vice versa, it makes more sense to repair it. It's for X amount of reasons, right? I'm not someone to say what's right or wrong, but I do know that that's what we do play with, the repair versus replace on a regular basis. If there's one slope being repaired, does that need to replace the entire roof? Well, depends on where you're in the country, depends on what type of shingle there are. There's so many variables, right? But the answer is, yeah, technically it could be repaired. And technically anything can be repaired. You could say you could put duct tape on it. That's a repair.
Yeah.
But then there's a standard of care that goes into those repairs. What I'm seeing and what I'm hearing in the industry is that there's going to be a different view on what is repairable and what is not repairable in the coming years. Roofs are getting very expensive, and they're going to try to opt to repair. It's no different than you are in the auto industry. Like if you have dents everywhere, they're going to repair it or they're going to total the whole entire car, right? Things add up. And that's what I'm seeing, is that they're trying to approach it similar to auto in that is it repairable? Yes or no? But it's not, this roof over here is not a Ford Focus. In terms of Ford Focuses, or there's a million of those made, and they're all the same, and there's parts available. Every house, every claim is estimated based on its own merits, and it's paid based on that too, and repaired based on that. So there's a lot more variables in the house. So I think I know there's more of a challenge to be able to figure that out, but that's where things are heading. Can we repair this roof? That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
You're going to see more and more of that over
there. We've seen a big uptick in like sloping, it came from the storm was directional, so just the back slope is the only thing, so we'll replace that. Or now they're probably going to, if I'm picking up what you're saying, like they're going to probably be looking even more deep, like, all right, you have 75 shingles that have an actual hit on them, so you can repair all those, and then maybe give you some waste in that, so that's what we're going to
see more of that. But there's a whole entire hornet's nest related to that. Like, how do you know what shingles are damaged? Like, you give me finders to go figure it out. Where's my time to go do that? But it's a push and pull, right? The pendulum will swing, and it might go too far, and it'll come back, right? And the contractors play a key role, and insurance companies play a key role. Insurance and contractors play a key role in this. Is that contractors could get away with a lot of things, and insurance companies could technically get away with a lot of things. But the point is that there should be a balance, because ultimately what it matters is to the customer, right? At the end of the day, I think that what you could both agree is that I want to make sure my customer is taken care of. They get the product that they asked for, they get it in a timely fashion, and they get it with the least amount of pain as possible. And if we can do that together, and that's why I think it's so important to not be contentious with the insurance company. It's about playing together and working with them. It can go a long way, especially the homeowner. And referrals, as you know, in this very competitive landscape, getting referrals is that's the gold. That's where you go. You dig for gold, you get the referrals.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that. Not only my own roofing company, but everybody I work with, I really, really focus on how do we build an environment where we are very, very much focused on the customer experience. And if we focus on the customer experience and we make that customer experience better than their expectations and better than what they could have got from your competitors, guess what? You now build this list of raving fans. You build a list of clients that are just going to come back to you. And my mission is I want to be your roofer for life. And if I'm doing anything along that journey that's slightly unscrupulous or slightly whoa, what's going on? Why would they do this? Or anything that's questionable, right? Then I've lost that customer for life mentality, right? And I think a lot of us, one thing we can take away is we need to be thinking bigger picture. We need to be thinking long-term, not right now. And how we operate our business on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things for us, referrals have been the main focus of our business. Year in and year out, it drives our business. It's by far the largest amount of, driver of business for us. And how do we do that? We're actually very conservative. And in a sense of
conservative,
from what we recommend to be replaced. So if I get on a roof and there's a couple of hits, I'm not going to tell a homeowner, oh, hey, instantly go fight. You have 3 hits. Go file a claim. I'm going to ask them lots of questions, because here's the thing. What we also don't understand is what roofers are doing, what they don't realize what they're doing is they're putting homeowners in a bad situation by making them file claims that get denied, that don't have enough damage, or that are repairable under the deductible. It still goes as a mark. It still goes against their history of claims. And it's actually hurting the customer at the end of the day. So if I go up and I'm very conservative, and first off, I have a relationship with the insurance agent. That agent recommended us to their client, who called them inquiring about a potential 38 people knocked on their door. So they call their agent recommends us. We show up and we're very conservative on how we recommend and what we recommend. And we just give them options and maybe a percentage of, hey, you might or might not leave it on, let them make a decision. it builds a relationship. And also it sets us up for the future. Like I don't have to force it right now and deal with a whole bunch of like claims I have to fight for tooth and nail. It's like, we're very conservative. And guess what? The relationship is really solid with the agent. He's going to refer us more and more. He's going to trust us. And now that homeowner just became a homeowner for life. We love making the call saying, hey, you don't have any damage. You don't have enough damage to file a claim today. Maybe we can do a couple repairs. We'll do a little tune up for you. And if you, oh, by the way, do you have someone else that might be in the neighborhood that might, might have an issue with their roof? Can you recommend us? Now I turn that into a referral and a lifelong client. But instead, so many roofers, you get out in this business and you get like 38 minutes of training, and they say, look for any mark on the roof and tell them to file a claim. I mean, we came up in that. Like that's what so many still to this day are doing.
Still today, yeah.
And they don't realize how badly that approach is actually long-term affecting our whole industry negatively.
It costs every claim on average. I think this is an industry average. You can go look. You can find this online, but it's roughly around anywhere from $380 to $550 per claim to process.
Yeah.
So when you're working with a homeowner and the homeowner files a claim, if it's a zero deductible or no damage, it still costs the insurance companies anywhere from $380 to $550 to process that claim.
Yeah. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands
of claims, right? And it's like, well, crap. So, and then the other thing, going to what your point is like, if there's like some damage, right, it's not worth it. I found that it's always great to bring the homeowner into making that choice. Like, hey, this is what I found. You tell me if you want to go forward. It's really their policy. It's their choice. It's not our choice, right? I mean, we can influence and we can do other things to be able to help move it along, but ultimately it's their choice. It's their policy. What I've also found, this may or may not be relevant to your audience, is that the number of claims for this year in 2025 is down anywhere from 15 to 30% across the entire industry. So
why do you think that is?
So we have a couple, I think that I want to think of three factors. Impact-resistant shingles have been being installed across the United States. So different markets are experiencing different fluctuations with that. Storms are lower this year. And then the third one, which is correlated, is that people are worried about losing their insurance if they file a claim because their deductibles are so big. They've had that. I've had homeowners that in the past, I'm sorry, I haven't had anybody this year. But when I've talked to folks in the roofing industry, they've had homeowners that have lost their insurance because they filed a claim, even though it was just a hail claim. They raised the premium or they decided not to renew them, and that's it's bothersome.
We've seen that actually happen quite a bit in our market here, and the deductibles, right? I mean, now they're 1-2%. It's like at this point, I guess to carry on the conversation from my perspective it's like going back 20 years, it was a retail market. It was like you had a claim, cool, here's a check, go find a roofer, find a contractor, get the work done, and anything above that you pay for. And now it's reverting back to that because at one point it was like the $500,000 deductibles, $1,000 free roof. Yeah, like tiny deductibles, free roof, yada yada yada. And then now it's reverting back to where the deductibles are so high, it doesn't make sense. And then you're risking losing your insurance coverage. So it doesn't make sense all the time anymore to just file the claim. So now it's reverting back to retail. Like I'm, teaching all our guys and really focusing with our clients. Like you've got to be a retail company, regardless of where you are in the market. You have to learn retail. You have to learn how to sell retail, and you have to implement the systems and tools to be a retail contractor.
I agree. And it's a different approach. Like it's, a homeowner that has $1,000 choice, right? I'm going to spend $1,000 is a different choice than I'm going to spend $10,000 or $20,000. They think about it differently. And also I've watched them, I've heard about this in the industry, is that people are not as proactive of getting the roofs done. Like I'll do it this fall, right? I don't need to do it right now. Not because there's no urgency, just because like I don't have the cash. I don't have $15,000 laying around. I'll do it in the fall. Let me get through summer, get my kids off to school. We'll come back to this. And so we're going to see what happens this fall with the overall industry's down industry in terms of claim volume, but we'll see what happens this fall with the markets and see if it picks back up for the contractors. But right now it's down across the United States quite a bit.
Yeah, I see that too. And I can tell you as well, even this market specifically, this market, we're one of the busiest markets in the country. It's definitely down. And even talking with my team, there's a lot of homeowners that are just waiting. They're like, we'll wait till the fall, wait till September, wait till whatever. They kind of want to get through the season. They don't want to deal with it over and over. I mean, there's certain cases where, we've roofed a house and then 2 months later had to roof the same house again, right? And that's no fun for a homeowner. I mean, cool, yeah, roofer, yeah, I got two deals out of it, but we got to put ourselves in the shoes of our consumers and like, They don't like to deal with that. They don't want to have to deal with that.
And if you do, I mean, like you said, put yourself in their shoes. Like you're trying to be a good steward to them, right? And doing so, listen to what their needs are. Like they don't want to have multiple roofs. Yeah, you can make, like you said, make a lot of money, but the point is, like, you want them to be happy customers, right? Happy customers are going to give you lots of referrals. So I support that as well. And then I also support the idea that, working with the homeowner on, are you guys talking about financing too on these deals?
Absolutely. Everybody needs to have a financing plan, like 100%. I mean, even if it's just a deductible, or it's like, hey, we'll finance the entire roof. The homeowner gets to do what they want with the remainder. Like, we'll finance the roof, get you into low monthly payment. You can use the funds to pay off the roof, use the funds for whatever, go on vacation, but you now have the entire roof done, so in a low monthly payment. So it's just like anything in the world outside of this, industry. Very few people write a check for a car. Very few people, if any, write a check for a house. Like, it just, it's a part of our life, and it's in it. We're like, we need to embrace it. If we haven't already, we've got to embrace that and make sure that, that we're offering it to everybody, no matter what. Cause they never know someone's situation. Here's someone such as yourself. Like, I've been in business. I've been doing it a long time. I try to be, financially responsible with the things. And sure, I have the means, and I'm blessed to have the means to write checks for things, right? I can pay for things, right? I'm grateful for that. I'm blessed for that. But that doesn't mean I'm always going to. If the financing makes sense, I'll probably even finance, because I can use that money elsewhere to then gain interest and do other things. Like, I have investments all over the place. Like, why would I take money out of an investment to write a check for my roof when I could just, I have good enough credit, I can finance it and pay $300 a month. Like, oh,
right. And then it makes perfect sense. It's just one extra step though. And most sales folks are not used to it unless you go to the retail model. And you go to the retail model, you're going to see more of that, of course.
Well, and then you got to understand too, like, look at the dynamic of, this is a good combo here, by the way. So if you're enjoying, I'm going to hold that thought, because if you're enjoying this conversation, make sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, like, share this out with somebody. We really appreciate, and the interactivity from the audience is really, really appreciated, and it helps the algorithms make us reach more. What I'm saying is, like, look at the dynamic of sales teams and salespeople in general. Most of them are fairly young. A lot of companies get people real young. I was
young in terms of age, or you're talking about like experience?
Age and experience, both. Okay. Life experience, age, all the things. So as humans, we have a natural tendency to sell and to put ourselves out there in a way that reflects us and our own experiences. We sell the way that we buy. Right. And if I don't have credit, I never bought a home. I've never bought, maybe I have one car, or like, I've never had that life experience. It's hard for me to put just like we talked about, it's hard for me to, like, truly understand what the customer is going through, and to put myself in their shoes if I've never experienced that. Right. So we, as leaders, sales leaders, as managers, as owners, we need to be able to be aware of that and educate our team to, to not just sell the way that you buy, because you may have never used financing before, or you don't know the way money works. You've never had investments in homes and stuff. It's not a bad thing. You're going to get there, but we have to understand our audience and adjust our structure and our approach based on what the audience needs, not based on what we want.
Some might call it just a job, but they don't feel the weight of it. Rain, snow, heat, aching bones, and late for dinner again. But you keep climbing because families count on you. Homes stand because of you. And that's why we built Peak Performance, the playbook for progress. Real numbers, real insights from real contractors like you. Scan the code. It's completely free, because it's more than just a job.
Hands down. I agree. Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit. And technology. You've always been into tech. Like, you launched OneClick. Let's talk a little bit about what OneClick Code is, and kind of how you evolved like crazy. I'm excited to kind of hear. Give me updated, man. It's been a while since we talked. We've been using your service for, I don't know, we were probably one of the first users of the thing for a long time. And get me caught up on that, and start the process of landing this plane and really focusing on how we can use this technology to shorten that time cycle and make more money and get paid faster.
So over the years, background is on the OneClick Code side. Roofer, day and night over the last 15 years, moved into technology. Some folks went to the CRMs, AccuLinks, the Chubb Nimbus, and other folks like that. They created those amazing software platforms. I went down the road of, like, let's figure out how we can automate the estimation, right? And then building codes were a primary part of that. Permitting and building codes were a primary part of that. And for over the last 7 years, almost 8 years now, I think, is what we've been doing this. We've had success with both the contractors and the insurance companies utilizing the platform. And we help answer the questions on what is required when it comes to building codes related to the roof. Ice and water shield, drip edge, yes, no answers, give documentation to support it. It makes people's lives way easier. It really becomes a standardized report amongst both sides, which is incredible. And from that, I've watched other companies pop up and they start doing building codes. I think, what's it called? XBuild, I think, has their own proprietary. They're trying to do some building code stuff inside of it. You have other companies that are doing the same thing. But it was just awesome because the merrier that we get in this business, the better, because it's going to only increase the amount of awareness and understanding to help building codes be part of the upfront conversation. Because ultimately, if you go out and look at a roof or you're looking at a window job or siding job, there's going to be things that really sophisticated and knowledgeable contractors are going to know about building codes that need to be done that should be in the estimate. But not everybody knows that. So how do you share that knowledge up front? So technology, giving knowledge up front to your frontline folks, the sales folks, be able to help them educate their homeowner on what's required, help educate themselves, but also help educate adjusters as well on what's required, so they can all be on the same page. Ultimately, it's about speaking the same language up front. Just like we use Xactimate to speak the same language, most of us do, we also can use building codes to speak the same language. And in doing so, it helps things be included in the upfront estimate, so that on the back end, you're not asking for it, it's already there, and they're releasing depreciation rather than the supplement. Now, granted, they're not going to get everything, but the goal is to be able to get as much stuff paid up front as possible. And that's what we do all day long. We try to get step flashing, kickout flashing, ventilation, decking if it's required. The list can go on with building codes, and our reports, the OneClick code reports, do help with that in some areas. It's not designed to fully do it. We're not replacing the individual supplementer. We're not replacing the adjuster. We're there to give support and make sure that everyone's speaking the same language, because there are contractors that will say that things are required, they're not required. There are insurance adjusters that will say nothing's required or it's not required, but it is required. But for the most part, again, it's all about getting on the same page and creating credibility amongst each other. So using technology to create credibility, get paid faster, get paid more technically.
And it eliminates a number of conversations of the back and forth. It's like, no, this is a credible source. This is it. This is what's required. This is how I do my job. This is how we come together. And again, you mentioned this earlier. I think this is the biggest takeaway. At the end of the day, we both have the same objective: take care of our client. The policy holder, that's the insurance client, that's their customer. They want to take care of them. They want to keep them long term. We want to have them for life, right? We want a customer for life. How do we do that, right? And having these tools and having these approved and these systems accepted and primarily used tool that levels the playing field for everybody, right? I love it.
And as we go through the technology, so this is the cool part, is that now that we're becoming more front and center amongst insurance companies and contractors, other companies are starting to try to populate other building code type platforms. Awesome. Now, all that does is allow us to get further along in what I want to get to is an automated estimate, right? That is where the goal is, at least in my company, is to help facilitate either as an ingredient, so our data can help do that, or be a leader in the automation space. AI is circulating. People talking about the AI bubble, AI as a buzzword. And that buzzword is, some people actually have AI generated in the background. Others are just saying it's AI induction, but in the back end, it's human beings doing it. Doesn't matter. The point is that we're all heading in the same direction, and technology is enabling us to do that. And so what's coming from OneClick coming up in the next probably 6 to 8 months is that there's some key things that we're going to be releasing. We just released some sheathing information. So how do we help with understanding what is required for sheathing, redex, whether it's required or not. We'll be coming out with additional information to that. We also will be coming out with an age of roof to help with the understanding of how old a roof is. Permitting information. So what was the last time a permit was pulled on this property? We all know that not everyone pulls permits, but that's age of roof and permit information. We're also going to be pulling forward a quick understanding, like a quick square type, what's the roof size. So something similar to like what Roofle was doing, something similar to what others are doing, where we're working with partners to be able to pull that forward as part of our platform. We're also looking at being able to include is the cost of the roof. So giving a cost of anywhere from X thousand to this thousand based on the type of roof on there. We'll be able to tell you whether it's metal roof or a shingle roof. We'll tell you if it's a hip or gable roof. We're going to be giving you aspects of what the overall job is. So what the design is you're going out and knocking on a door. You're going to be able to know information related to that property, both the homeowner and the roof size in a general sense. You'll be able to use that as creating a pipeline inside of your company, inside of your CRM. Most companies want to know pipeline. You knocked on 15 doors. There's X amount of prospects. What is each prospect worth? It helps start to build what that pipeline is for an individual construction company. So the goal is to bring more information to the front line and be able to make better decisions up front. We're also including the weather. We talked about, you guys know that we have weather in the back, but some of your viewers may not know that. We partner with Canopy Weather, which is a trusted source in the insurance space for weather. It's a sister company to Hail Trace.
Okay. So now on the report, you have the weather report as well.
You have weather. We have coming out is like what's going on with the property, not just with who the homeowner is, but the age of roof, the size of the roof, if there's solar panels on there or not, type of roof, if it's shingle, metal. And then, like I said, there's more coming too. And the permit history, age of roof, all that fun stuff.
That's awesome, man. So much valuable, for anybody in roofing, and you hear this, you're like, wow, that's valuable information up front. That's going to save you an incredible amount of time. I remember the days of, we thought we were innovative. We had this spreadsheet and we had someone in our office, like constantly, in our state, right? I mean, between now that we do solar, man, I have to maintain well over 100 licenses.
Oh, wow.
Between solar and general contracting and roofing licenses. And it's like, and every jurisdiction is different, right? So now obviously that's where OneClick comes in tremendously. We used to have someone like constantly monitoring every, 3 months, every 6 months, go through all the websites and just make sure there's no changes. And, especially first quarter of the year to see if they made any adjustments to their code requirements and all that. Like, it was a lot of labor and a lot of work, and you've really solved that problem. So that's amazing. Anything else, Garrett, that that you're excited about, coming down the pipe, and whether it's from you or from in the industry?
Oh, so I'll finish one more thing on us, and then I do have something from the industry side. So also what we're coming forward with is we're going to be able to tell you whether a roof has a repair versus. So we're helping out with the repair versus replace conversation. So in some certain jurisdictions, you can use 3 tabs. You can't use 3 tabs. You have to have impact resistant, or you don't have to have impact resistant. We're tracking that across the country. We'll be releasing that hopefully in the next 6 months as well. We also will go one step further, and we're going to say when a repair is allowed versus not allowed, related to repair thresholds. Some municipalities will say that if one shingle is damaged, you got to replace the entire slope. Some say it's 25%. So what is the repair factor that goes into when is a permit required? Is it at 5,000? Is it at 1 square? When are we tracking a lot of those things? Is a mid roof required? Is it not required? Is a final roof with ladder required? So we're getting into the inspection and permitting process as well.
Yeah, love that, man. That's all, man. For me, being doing a lot of roofs, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of roofs, like a year in this market, like that just saves us so much time and energy to have to manage all that, right? So, thank you for your commitment, as always, and dedication to the industry, man. You've been working super hard in the background, just really trying to solve problems, and you're definitely a lot smarter than I am, man. And I appreciate your efforts. But also, I mean, you run a business, right? You're an entrepreneur, and this is a show. Ultimately, at the core of what the show is all about is about entrepreneurship. So, as you've been, moving from the roofing space, to the adjusting space and all the things into tech, as a leader, as a CEO, as a founder of a company, what is your best piece of advice that you'd give? What have you learned that you would share to a young entrepreneur? Go back and tell yourself your best advice 10 years ago.
Your best path forward is going to be as long as you can hold curiosity from a place of trying to improve, you'll do amazing things just from a place of just be curious, ask questions. And then the second thing that I would tell myself that I still tell myself today is that it's repetition, it's consistency. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and it's not easy for a reason, and it's an opportunity for you to figure out how to make it easy. So resilience and curiosity are some of the top behaviors that I would tell myself, and I tell others to continue down the path of, because others are going to give up and you're not. And that's that's the difference between first and last.
Man, for those of you listening to this, I don't know how to even explain how important that advice is. Stay curious, ask questions, challenge everything, challenge the status quo, and show the freak up. Like, show up each and every day and stay committed to your goals. Like, those two things sound simple, but that's so profound, man. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for what you do. What's the best way to get a hold of you, man? You and OneClick Code. Give me your websites and all the things.
Yeah, so our website's www.oneclickcode, O-N-E, clickcode.com. You can also send us an email if you'd like, if it's easy, or you can give us a phone call. Our email is code@oneclickcode.com, CODE. And then our phone number is 720-340-7644. Give us a call, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And if you need to get a hold of me, or if you want to send me an email, just put Garrett in the front of OneClick Code. You can get a hold of me that way.
Love it. Garrett, man, as always, it's great hanging out with you, man. I love seeing you in the industry. I love connection. I love our friendship, man. I appreciate you.
You too.
Thanks for what you do, my man. Take care.
Thank you, Randy. You too.
Thank you all for listening. Once again, like, subscribe, throw a comment in there, reach out to my man Garrett. Hit me up if you're interested in maybe you want to join the show. Maybe you want to be on the show. That'd be awesome. Hit me up if you're interested in, coaching and really leveling up your business and systemizing every aspect of your roofing company. Feel free to hit me up. I'd love to chat with you. We'll do a free discovery call and see if it makes sense to work together. Take care, everybody. God bless.